Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride here with us tonight. This is it's going to be a bit of a free-form one. We got to get in and get out here tonight because they've got another show coming in on our heels. We shifted stuff ahead for nothing more than just to hang out with the kids. That is pure and simple. The reason why we weren't on last night, we had the day off of school. I got the motorsports column done early, and I spent a little bit of time this weekend setting up and revamping the home network in the computer. So you know how they always told us when we were live, if we got a switch, we could plug the internet feed Ethernet into the switch and run it to two different computers at the same time?
Yeah.
In my travels with Dirt Track Digest and with Chris Grainer at Derby Nation and stuff, I've seen how those work and found that they've come down in terms of your home network stuff considerably. So I got one of them and ran the new internet to a switch and fed the gaming computer and ran a pigtail off to feed the computer that used to be the one for all the DVD editing, and then ran another pigtail off for laptop 2, which was the old streaming computer, and then left the laptop 1, all the graphics stuff, on the Wi-Fi, and was able to multiplayer with the kids on the Derby game.
That's awesome. I was just going to ask if they tried that.
That was the whole point of getting that done, and we did that, and it was a ton of fun. Alan melted down a round back like that.
Yeah. Did you give him the WWF cars?
We're going to get there. Because all that other stuff is in the laptop that he was on, but he wasn't hosting.
Gotcha.
I wanted to get it to work first.
Gotcha.
I am ill-equipped to manage a 6-speed transmission.
Didn't do a good job of shifting, huh?
No, but it was fun. The deformation changes and stuff with the update that came out this weekend were very, very cool, and the kids had fun. I think that's something that we'll probably be doing again.
Was Alan impressed how fast you could junk around back?
He was getting frustrated because he said that I was picking him apart. It's like, well, the first time you played the game, man. You know? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give it to you, though.
No, absolutely not. No, you can't. You got to learn the hard way.
And you'll be proud to know that I ran an 02 Vic with a 360 power engine in it.
How'd it run?
Good enough to ruin run back.
You sent me a picture. You did a skin for Iron Mike Rice. Was that for Mike or his son?
That was his son asked about that.
Nice.
His son sent a picture. That picture that he sent was from Penn Yan, 1998.
Awesome.
So that's the oldest car so far that we've gone back in the annals of history to replicate. That was cool. I did that a little while ago. I forgot to send you the picture, but
yeah, I met Mike through Derbian, and when I helped coach a football. Mike's son played down there. He was a great quarterback, great defensive player. I'm pretty sure he's player of the year. I can't remember if it was offense or defense. I think he was sectional MVP. Good little ball player, and he's coaching down at Bath now. I don't know if he's jumped in any cars yet. I know his dad. Last I knew, his dad was still inspecting and promoting with Aaron Kasaya at Bath. But he was one of the legends of the area back in the day. Iron Mike was a hell of a builder, hell of a runner.
Absolutely. He was certainly a fun guy to watch. I believe in that 98 was the 4th or 5th year in a row that round back was there. Something crazy, you know. But
somehow they grow tougher and back. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how, but I've heard some stories.
Yeah. So that I forgot the Rock. I was going to bring the Rock in. I don't know if you saw on the Ed Brewster's Last Hurrah page, they were raffling off some, auctioning off some.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Memory Rocks. I got the one with the convertible Ford Bel Air looking thing. It was all the makes and models, so you really can't lose. It was kind of cool. I got that home. I was going to bring it in tonight, and I left it on the table. But I've seen some likes Seen some thumbs ups in places, but I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody down there yet. But I'm going to maintain that no news is good news.
Yeah.
At least at this point. Hopefully, Ed, if he gets the chance to watch and hang out with us a little bit tonight, awesome. If not, keep resting and keep fighting the good fight.
Absolutely. Saw some stuff. I don't know when it was released, but Iron City Promotions has put out some. It appears to be the schedule for this year's Iron City Nationals. 2-day show, New Alexandria. A couple new classes. The Big Wayne Heavy class and the Imperial Heat.
Right.
So I believe it's 18th, 19th, or 17th, 18th of September. I was actually just checking it out before I jumped in the truck to head here. So it's going to be a 2-day show, which actually last year was kind of a 2-day show. It got over a little later than anybody expected. But great show, great guys. I'm sure we'll be talking to them at some point throughout the spring and fall and winter to hear what's going on for next year. This year, I guess it's
right. Because we have turned the calendar. It's just December 309th now, or whatever.
Yeah, kidding.
But
20 part 2.
Right. It does start to feel a little bit more like it's supposed to because there's more schedules coming out. There's schedules coming out for Oval Track, Outlaw Speedway put their schedule out. All sorts of touring plans for the Super Dirt Car Series. There's sportsman races coming up in South Carolina, all the Florida stuff still on schedule. And Outlaw Speedway put out there that the grandstand admission is free for practice in April.
Cool.
I don't know what they know that we don't, but that would be outstanding. And,
cool.
And just kind of extrapolating that information out further from where we're at right now would be.
It was strange. Watched the Chili Bowl Saturday night, and there was people in the stands, but it wasn't you had to shoehorn them in there. It was pretty empty. But as I was watching that, thinking like I do often, the River Spirit Rampage.
Go on.
I think that would be a pretty cool show. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think there's almost 1 million square foot of indoor facility, so everybody could park inside.
It'd be dangerously close to copywriting River City Rampage.
Well, I was thinking maybe the same guy could put it on, and then there wouldn't be a copyright infringement.
I mean, you're onto something there.
It wouldn't be a copyright infringement. We could step out a little farther west, but it was pretty neat. I watched it Saturday night. I guess it was a replay, and then Sunday I went over and hung out with Dad for a while and rewatched it with him. And he was asking
about the winner gets a golden driller.
What's that?
As long as the winner gets a golden driller.
Wait, it couldn't be a golden driller. It'd have to be like a golden.
The golden driller is holding a sledgehammer.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. But it was pretty neat. It's a quarter-mile track inside. That's not a bad little setup.
Right. I mean, when you think about it.
You could probably build a decent dirt track, a decent derby track inside the space that big.
And I got to believe that they have the ventilation.
Yeah, it was. You know what, though? I think it's sort of like the building we were at in Florida last year. Looking at it a little more, because usually everything's covered. You can't see the walls.
Right.
But it kind of looks like it's a little open air on both sides, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. The track was dusty. Smoke wasn't there to do the track, so you could see that there was some dust coming up. But I think it'd be cool. Of course, I don't have the money or the ability to do it, so it's just kind of a dream. But unless I win that $900 million lottery, and then we're going to do some crazy stuff.
I would.
Crash Course Derby podcast, airplane. We're going to fly to all our own places.
You would never hear from me again.
Just fall off the earth?
Gone.
Wow.
Gone.
You wouldn't even go to derbies anymore?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
Would you just swim in your money and stuff?
Scrooge McDuck?
Yeah.
I would just selfie video that to TikTok every chance I got.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Crash Course World Nationals.
I'm just glad that you stopped calling it Smash Course because everyone was getting confused.
Crash Course World Nationals. We could have it on the front stretch at Indy. That'd be cool.
If we're renting Indy, is really that what we want to do?
Yes.
Okay. All right. See, I was going a different route with it.
Front stretch. The front stretch is like a mile. Imagine a mile-long derby track.
Well, that wouldn't happen because it'd be the last one, and all that money that we got would be paid out in the insurance claims. So that wouldn't be a good idea. However, I do like the premise of potentially doing that, renting out Indy and having Metallica serve as the intermission concert.
We could do that.
Yes.
We could definitely do that. 40 years they've been together.
Huh?
How crazy is that?
Huh?
40 years Metallica's been together.
Did you see they just released a whiskey?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm waiting for you to test it. And a guy I work with has had a bottle and said it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I passed one. I was fueling up, and there was a distribution truck pulling out of the gas station. I was coming back. I was coming back from the fairgrounds. I got to go back to the fairgrounds and visited what used to be part of the Syracuse Mile, and was inside the Expo Center where they've had the indoor races up in Syracuse. I went up there as a paraprofessional or someone who works in the school. I qualified for this round of.
Oh, you went up there to get your vaccine?
Okay,
Yep. Gotcha.
Got the old Pfizer.
I'm going to Moderna tomorrow.
I didn't have a choice, nor did I ask.
Yeah. Dad and I are going out to the casino, and that's where they're doing it. And maybe we'll go over and play a couple of hands afterwards. I don't know. See if we're lucky.
Play a lot of cards?
No, none at all.
Okay, well, that's cool. Jimmy Crafton is on board. Do it at Indy. So on the assumption of all these things, Jimmy Crafton is on board. He has a bar across the street called the Fat Cat Bar. Sweet. So we have some place for the after party. And all of these outlandish claims.
Sweet. You know where else we could have one? Knoxville. That'd be pretty cool as well.
That would be interesting. That would be cool.
Hit the big tracks.
Yes.
Eldora, Knoxville,
What are you doing?
Massachusetts.
Do you even have a ticket yet?
Yes.
You do have
Yes.
Better than the last time we started doing these plans. You said you were on your way to buy a ticket after the show was over.
Absolutely.
You didn't have a ticket yet.
So you got to dream. You got to dream big, man.
Right. You got to dream big. I'm with you there.
We're going to have like one of those 777s, just you and I flying wherever we go. Like a 500 passenger airplane, and it's going to be you, me, and the pilots just cruising.
Okay. Okay. Whatever you think. Did you see the Forever Wrapped in Daddy's hand mold?
Yes.
That was shared. How cool was that?
Yeah, that was very cool. I think they'd done them before with the girls, and I think Jody did, but then they got some more in, and they did Jeremy's and Mart's, and pretty cool.
For those of you that aren't up to speed, Jeremy Gully and his son Martin, who's in certainly faced some challenges over the last couple of years.
San Filippo.
He's suffering with San Filippo. It's the catalyst for San Filippo smash and everything. They held hands and dipped their hands in what appeared to be paraffin, made a mold of it and stuff. It looked really cool.
Yeah,
it was very neat.
It did. Jeremy's been doing a lot of work on the house. They're putting in a special shower for Martin. He's obviously grown. He's a very tall boy now. He's able to stand up, and so it's it's hard to hold the 98 or 100-pound boy up to basically shower him. So they've been working on that, and he's putting in a new shower, and so he's been pretty busy. We usually talk once or twice a night, but Smart's been doing pretty decent. He has his good days and his bad days, but tough little band. He you can kind of puts things in perspective to see what they're all going through, and so.
Well, that brings us to one of the more challenging parts. We had talked about this a couple weeks ago, and some news from over the weekend kind of hit a little bit closer to home, and I guess it was because of the surprise with it. But Todd Heenan passed away, and I'm sure you remember Todd Heenan. One of the more indelible memories that I have of Todd is at Winter Slam after it had moved to St. Peter, and we parked the rental car. Cutting it a little closer than I wanted to, but you felt perfectly comfortable with the time frame that we had. And we got out, and there was Todd sitting 3 rows up in the aluminum bleachers right there on the edge, and we stood there, and it didn't matter how late we were running or where we had to be. If our paths crossed with Todd, we were going to be there for a half hour or more, just talking about everything under the sun. And it was not just Demolition Derby. And I didn't know that there was any problems or challenges really on the horizon for Todd, but it seems like maybe he knew, which is just bizarre to think anyway. But Tyler, his boy, had taken his mom to work, and when they came home, Todd said that he had a headache and went in to take a nap, and Tyler came home and obviously found that things had gone tragically awry, and did what he could. And I mean, to have the strength to do that in and of itself is a big deal for Tyler and the family. And I think it also offered Tyler a little bit of peace that he was there and he was able to try, and it didn't appear that there was any suffering or anything like that. But Todd's one of those guys that isn't going to get a lot of attention in Derby. A lot of these people in Demolition Derby, they're not going to get a lot of attention anyway. They're not Leslie West. You know, the guy from the sang Mississippi Queen. All these tributes and everything. There's no Hall of Fame. There's no gold records. There's no international knowledge of their contributions to the sport, be it at the local level, be it as a family friend, be it as a father, be it whatever it might be. It's just not documented there. So I feel like, especially in cases where there's friends of ours, that we have this sort of this duty to at least share some of those stories that we didn't get to share otherwise. And Tyler had people coming over to his house to sort of just go through things and celebrate life and whatever. And before they got there, he called us. And I just had a remembrance on the page and was thinking a lot about the conversations that I'd had with Todd and the exchanges that we had, and how he was like everybody's dad, but not the dad like, wow, look what my kid did, like the dad that you could never make happy. You know, I can't tell you how many messages that we were on the air about stuff that we had sort of botched or sort of juggled or sort of, and he would never, you could always tell like he was happy with what we did and stuff like that, but it always like, man, I just can't not mess up. And I love that about him. I mean, he was totally genuine and totally true and pure to himself, and you never left wondering where you stood, but you also never left wondering if you were still friends either. And man, it's a big loss for Tyler and for Bridget up there. It's a big loss for the community up there as well. And it was just amazing to me that Tyler had time in his busy day to make that call, because I'll be honest, I probably wasn't calling anybody. I was from a point where I'm saying, let them have their space, let them do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know? It's tough, man. I just went through it, and it's tough. I mean, people don't know if they should or shouldn't, and it's a tough spot to be in.
But I relayed that you'd been through that yourself, and he said that he had called Josh the day before and talked to those guys, and there's some stuff that they're working on for one of the shows up there. I think it's Mike Tix's show or something along those. Tyler told me that much, and that's as far as I got. And there's a GoFundMe out now as well. That was on Todd's page and on Tyler's page. It was just and I take nothing away from Tyler. One of the stories that stands out most to me in the experiences with Todd, it wasn't about Tyler, it was about Colton. And Colton was somebody that Todd was happy to help, and he was very proud of, and Colton went through some challenges. And Todd was right there trying to be that caring dad like we talked about. At the same time, trying to use the tough love to bring him back around, kind of the whole come to Jesus by isolation deal. Yep. And no matter how tough the situation got with those guys, Todd always finished it with this funny smile and shake of a head. I just don't know what I'm going to do with that boy, And I'm sure there's other people that have stories like that about Todd. And I'm going to miss hearing them, And it's really unfortunate that fate went the way that it did, and it put a final chapter on that story before we could see that element of Demolition Derby, that element of that relationship with Todd and Colton and the rest of our friends up there at Blue Earth all the way to the finish. It's really, really unfortunate. I went leafing through some of his pictures, and I found a picture of him sitting on the roof of his car with the big deer horn decal, and Heenan on the roof sign and stuff, and it pretty much summed up everything you needed to know. If you want to go say hi, I dare you to go say hi, and it'll be worth it.
Yeah, definitely one of the good guys we met.
Yep. So that's Todd Heenan. Man, it was some sad news, but we've seen more than enough of that.
Yep, we touched on it. When we were kids, we were all going to weddings, and as we're getting older, unfortunately, it's you hear about all the funerals. So
I didn't know if we were going to hear from Tyler. I left the ball in his court when everybody was coming over, and he said some family was starting to show up, and I said, we're here for whatever you need. If you want to call in, you're more than welcome to. If not, I'm not going to bug you about it.
Yep.
Take your time and your space. Which brings us to where we're at right now. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about in the coming weeks. Like I said, we gotta bug out of here quick. James McLean from here in town Spartan is going to be joining us here in studio at some point this week or next. Tyler Tews is interested in coming on the show to kind of catch up with it. Remember Tyler running at Minnesota and Blizzard Bash, the 10X on the car.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bunch of pictures of Cody Gaines on his page too, so might be able to double dip on that. Tyler Reba from out in Nebraska, and I'm thinking if we can get him and Kenny Rosno together. If we get Tyler, then I know we'll be able to get Kenny.
Kenny's busy, man. He's got the full-time job, and then he's got the WRP parts. So they're having a get-together in Nebraska, from what I can tell, for
Iowa just had one. Kansas had one. They went to a go-kart track, and I don't know what was left.
Yeah, they're having one in Nebraska, I'm pretty sure. I just saw something on Kenny's page saying that they were going to be there. So,
but we've got that on deck. Tyler Reed's going to be on the show, and on the 25th, January the 30th is Redneck Rumble. Mm-hmm. That's sitting right around the corner.
Almost there.
which is great.
It's hard to believe we're almost through January already.
I know, right?
We're over halfway. I mean, it's crazy.
Then there's the Owego gathering.
Yep.
Coming up in February.
Yep.
And Smith Metalworks has something planned for April.
Yeah.
Which is...
And I think in the original announcement about the gathering in Owego, Smith Metalworks and Jeffy are both going to be there with stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Well, it's certainly feels like 2019 now.
It's starting to. Did you see that? I assume it was Tim put out a advertisement about their street stock show.
No,
yeah.
I did not. Actually, I traded some messages with Tim Jr. Here the other day, but I gave Tim a call and I hadn't heard anything back. And you're right about this time of year. He usually goes off the grid for a week and drives snowmobiles as far into the country as he can, and then skates across part of a lake and ends up at Jason Brzezinski's house.
Yeah, Jason's not pouring concrete right now. I'm sure he's probably armpit deep in building parts and derby cars. So,
right.
I mean, he doesn't have sleeves on, so he can't be. I don't think he owns anything with sleeves, but Jason's a good dude. I hadn't seen Jason in a long time. We saw him in Florida last year, and he walked up and gave me a hug. So it was good to see Jason. Just hoping things get back to normal. Like I've said, like a broken record. Like I said, we're going to get our shots tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm hoping. You and I sat here, and I can't remember if we were on air or off air, but we talked about how quick, we might get a large portion of America immunized. And I think we figured out sometime around maybe July.
End of June.
Yeah.
End of June, optimistically.
Yeah, so that would be, I would be happy if, I'm pretty much, unfortunately, I think high school sports are done. A lot of the ADs in the area have been sending stuff to their local representatives and trying to get Cuomo to, open stuff back up because, we're all states all the way around us are doing it, but I don't think anything's going to happen with that. Like you said, though, there's a lot of plans, locally racing, opening them back up. So hopefully we can get back to normal.
Mm-hmm. The one thing is the amount of time it takes for the for the vaccine to kick in. It takes about 10 days, and then you got to get the boost. Mm-hmm. And with the different, just scientifically, I'm not talking about TV. I'm talking scientifically the way that a virus works. Mm-hmm. That what there's a spike on the edge of it. That's how it grabs hold of your cells and injects the data in and turn your cells into the Xerox machine.
Yeah.
And as that changes, it's going to require additional boosters over time. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you're canceling appointments, tell a friend something, because you don't want that stuff being thrown away. Because once it's thawed, it's.
I was talking with
you're going to be in. What I'm getting at, Brian, is you're going to be in a mask a little bit longer than you planned, even though we get to June. but you'd probably rather wear a mask than carry it around to somebody who didn't get the shot or something.
Yeah, definitely. I'm talking with a friend who works for our local health department, and I said, I don't know if this is. I think that this is what happened now. I'm not so positive that it's people doing as bad a job as they were, doing a bad job of all the social distancing. I think this is the second spike that we never got last year. That's truly what I think. And I think that the virus has changed some because it's not.
Well, there's science to back that up with the different.
I definitely think it's changed some. I don't know if it's as strong as it was. I mean, more people have been hospitalized, but the death rate isn't as bad. There's more people that are recovering more quickly. So I kind of think, and that's what she said. She said, that's what we've heard too, is they can't put a finger on it. Like, for instance, knock on wood, my brother, his wife, and my dad all came down with it. Christmas Eve, we were all together. And out of the 4 people who live in my house, my youngest son's the only one that got it. And it's not like I live in a gigantic mansion. We live together. I mean, it's a small house. We cohabitate. And luckily, none of us got it from him. So does that mean we have some natural immunity, or were we just lucky? And that's the question. Is there's nobody knows. And I've heard all the negative stuff.
Maybe you're just better at washing your hands than you thought.
No, that's not it. No, the pictures, the memes on Facebook where you see the guys eating in the shop.
Yes.
That's me.
Yeah. I've often thought of you when I see that.
But being microchipped and all the crazy stuff. I don't know many people under the age of 60 that don't have a cell phone attached to them at all times. So if they really want to know where you are, they're going to know where you are. I don't think they're going to go through all the exorbitant trouble of microchipping you, but I guess in theory I could be wrong. But I've talked to a lot of people, and
wouldn't it be crazy if you were assigned a number early, like the day that you were born, if you were assigned some sort of tracking number?
You mean like your social security number?
That's the one.
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy? They could tell everything you do for most of your life. Yeah, it's.
I hope someday they look at my bank account. Be like, I didn't know your card number's that low.
It's an awful lot of zeros. But yeah, I mean, that's, I think we all have to do what we got to do. We went from talking derbies to talking COVID, but
that's the way that it's been for the last year or so.
But I also think it's strange that all of a sudden there's no seasonal flu and everything's COVID. So I don't know. I don't know. If anything, it surprises me that where we are with science today, that the entire world was caught with their pants down like this, if we're being really honest. It's kind of how I feel right now. I'm not throwing blame at anybody, but the entire world was kind of caught with their pants down.
Yep.
So to speak.
That happens at the doctor's office sometimes.
Sometimes.
You don't blame on things. Let's transition to this stuff real quick. So No Mercy registration is open, and it was a fire sale. Everybody wanting to get a part of No Mercy. Online, deadmanderby.com. 2-day show for the spring, and it's going to be a dandy. Friday, the 3-man compact heats are on the schedule, along with the 80s Pro Stock heats, the half-ton trucks and SUVs. Saturday is a carousel of derby action. It's a carnival. Last chance events are going to kick off the day. Youth compact division is on deck. Imperials are paying $2,000 to win. Minivan, truck, mini SUV is paying $1,200 to win the full-size team one and done. One-on-one. The Deadman Compacts are on the schedule. The 70s, 80s Pro Stocks, that's $8,000 to win there. 3-man compact team feature is $6,000 to win. Full-size Mercenaries one and done, that's $3,000 to win. Busy day. For additional details and your shot at the select few spots that might be remaining online, deadmanderby.com. Smash It Demolition Derbies, you made reference to their Super Stock show, so make sure you jump online, check that out, smashitderby.com. They're just can't say thanks enough about everything. And again, as we creep more towards normal, we're going to be seeing a schedule from them too. Jacob Prusman's got his schedule out. for the 4-8 Derby, their series. Hardcore, we'll be telling you about Hardcore in a minute. They've got their schedule out, so I mean, there's stuff coming around. Certainly looking forward to getting all of that stuff on its feet, off and running. Jeffy's Fab Farm, they've got a busy spring already lined up. We're going to be seeing them all over the place. We got to get him on the show to talk more about it. He has Camry in a box.
Really?
Where you can basically buy what you need that Jeffy offers in a box. And when he set out, he made, I'm pulling numbers, he basically set aside a dozen. I think we'll start out with a dozen, have them ready, we'll release it, and we'll just rebuild the ones as they go. And we are on the 19th of January, so we talked the first week of the month, and he was negative 25 Camrys in a box at that point. So 35 Camry in a box.
That's not bad. It's not bad. Jeffy's a good dude. We should get him out. We haven't, the only thing is he works, somewhere between 8 and 27 hours a day. So it's hard to get him out from under the welding hood.
If you need it, you can find it. I tell you about the Jeep off-road rock crawler guy that he had working for him.
Yes.
That just couldn't believe that, this stuff is made to be destroyed. It's like, well, it's made to be used to the point of destruction. You don't want to ruin it. You want to win some.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you just throw headers. Headers are the throwaway parts now. Headers are no different than a Samson tire, you know?
Yep.
But industry leader in all manner of fabrication needs. They do the LSs that everybody's come to know and love. They got the header offerings. They got all the different combinations. And what used to be 3 parts, there's like this throttle bracket, used to be 3 parts, redesigned it, now it's 1 part, crank it out faster, so it's going to be able to keep up with the demand. Just these innovations that are coming out of the Fab Farm. All of the manufacturers do. It just happened to be a conversation with Jeffy that made me think of it. Jeffy's also putting up that 3,000 win overall Hellraiser award at the end of the year as part of Hardcore. But just the innovations that come out of Demolition Derby that, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I wish these guys were the ones putting my computer together, because it would have been far easier to take that thing apart.
I told you to hit it with a hammer.
I know. Your advice is well ignored. Smith Metalworks, smithmetalworks.info, experience and passion, second to none. We're going to be seeing them at the gathering, and then also those guys, they're going to be having a gathering of their own in April, some informational meeting. They're on board behind the youth class again this year. The hallmark of their product line is the pointed and the flat front bumpers, replicating popular factory releases. Stuff Duran Hollow. Brian has one. He hasn't been able to use it to the full max of its potential, but that future that is coming in the future, especially with derbies finally being scheduled.
Yeah, pretty
Other
cool.
items include a Crown Vic, door skins, battery boxes, engine mounting systems, you name it, they've got it. In-person locations in Mercer, Uniontown, and Bethlehem. You can order online as well. smithmetalworks.info. I don't know if you saw over the weekend, but there was a computer graphic that appeared from Realistic Derby Project with a Superstock bumper on the front of an Oldsmobile and a Smith Metalworks decal on it.
Cool.
Smith Metalworks parts are now in the game.
That's awesome.
And Toast 9-inch rear end and Toast
Yeah, I
trailing
did
arms.
see that.
Yeah.
I did see that. Yes, now that it was a long weekend. I worked a double on Saturday and didn't get much sleep going into it, didn't get much sleep afterwards, so it was a long weekend. But
And let's go here next. So we told you we would tell you a little bit about this. This is the 2021 Hardcore Tour. Online, hardcorederbypromotions.com. Hardcore Demolition Derbies coming on board. We're going to be talking about them throughout the balance of the summer. So we're going to be following up with their drivers and what they've got going on. Their season is a little over 4 months away. May the 15th is the start. That's May Meltdown in Stoneboro, Pennsylvania. And then they got a couple of them in June. Destruction on the Knob in Markleysburg, PA. Mayhem on the Mountain in Farmington, Pennsylvania, June the 26th. And then they kick into July. A couple dates there. Very busy August and September, which leads us to the Hardcore Championships, 25th and 26th of September. 10,000 to win final confrontation. It's going to be in Dunbar, Pennsylvania. 3,000 to win Mad Dogs. You have to qualify through the course of it. There's going to be points through the course of the season. The Hellraiser Awards are going to be out there. You don't want to miss it. Stay up to date online, hardcorederbypromotions.com. Great dude.
yes,
Great dude to talk to.
Very cool guy.
They jumped on board for this year, so we're certainly looking forward to that. Still got to button up some stuff with Smash It, which is another one of the reasons why I was calling to him last week. But I'm sure we'll have everything planned out, mostly because I don't know what he wants us to be talking about. What do we want to start putting a full court press on Bash for Cash yet or not?
It would be awesome if we could get Bash for Cash.
I would love to get that news. I really would. There's Jeffy checking in. Jeffy. it's like Beetlejuice. If you say his name 3 times, he'll show up in the live chat.
Jeffy. You know what it was? He probably ran out of wire.
Well, I think probably what happened is he was listening on his earbuds.
Yeah.
And he's like, these guys are making too many mistakes. Actually, my phone didn't ring, so that's good. I didn't miss anything.
Didn't miss anybody?
Yeah, didn't miss anything too crazy, so that's good. Oh, I should not have cut to you. It's going to get reverb. There we go. Fixed. Yeah. Usually this is about the time that we get all the messages where it says, Brian's echoing. I had hard cut to you and the light came on. Oh, it gets bad when that happens.
Can I start talking again now?
Yeah, you're good. It's all fixed.
I don't want to upset anybody.
No.
I like to keep everybody happy. It's my goal.
Jeffy says the earbuds are in and I'm still working.
Jeffy's a cool dude. Jeffy's one of those guys that you talk to him and you feel smarter afterwards.
Yes.
Or dumber, depending on what you just learned and how dumb you really are and finding out. But good dude. We got to talk a lot at New Alley this year, so that was pretty cool.
My favorite part of the Jeffy conversation is he goes through all the science first. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, so what that means is...
Like when he's talking to me, he's like, okay, this, because he's got to dumb it down, so I understand. It's really nice for him to do that. But yeah, it was cool. Stood up there and talked, and he, it was cool to see the excitement when his motors were on the track and to see how well they were running and the stuff that was going on. And
the excitement comes when the run's over.
Well, the excitement is, it was there when, his motors go from turning $8,000 to idling and don't miss a beat and back to $8,000 and.
Yeah, because that's a nervous dude.
That's having Mike Klinger test your stuff out and run your stuff. That's a pretty high deal. That's Klinger is definitely one of the best. I'd put Mike Klinger up against anybody in the country.
You got to ask Jeffy about the story where Pete Hansen and Don Santel were standing around talking about him when he happened upon the conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. That was. Jeffy's a pretty even-keeled guy, but he was talking about the Demolition Derby pinch me moments, and that was one of them. It was outstanding.
Yeah, we've had some of those. It's pretty cool.
So I gotta get this information out at some point. We've talked about all this stuff, and again, since we have all the unknowns here, and it's far cheaper to run a derby in a computer. Crash Course Nationals 2 coming up. 2. June 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Am I entered already?
No, because entries haven't opened yet. But Hardcore Derby Promotions has jumped on board with that. Jeffy's Fab Farm already on board with that. We've got some other conversations rolling, so that should be...
What are you going to put me in?
Well, it's funny you should ask. There's going to be team compacts the first day. I'm pretty sure that you don't want anything there, but there's an 80 stock class the first day.
I'll take that.
Then there's the super stock heats day 2 with a weld class, and then
does it cost more to be in everything? I'll be in everything but the compact.
Well,
put me in a compact. I don't know. No, I'm too bad of a. Nobody wants to run with me.
So you're going to have to do this one on your own.
What do you mean on my own?
Because there is a sliding scale on this one. Just like old iron is more expensive than new iron in the super stocks, there's only going to be 3 roundbacks available, and it's going to be $35 to enter versus $10 for like an 02 Vic.
Ooh.
So if you want the old iron, you're going to have to buy it, and you're going to have to be fast on the credit card.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of. Is there
going to be a Cadillac out by then, or can't we talk about that?
I don't know if there's going to be a Cadillac out by then. I would love to think that there is, but I would also love to think that there's going to be a 68 Imperial out by then. There's a lot of things that could happen between now and June.
There's bonuses and there's negatives about the, if I got a round back, it'd be cool because I'll never pay what they want to run around back today.
I basically took the going budget and divided it by 100. So instead of $3,500 is $35.
Oh, absolutely.
It's $1,000 to build a Crown Vic and 10, right?
But I could also drive an 03 and pillar park a round back. That would be cool.
If you haven't tested, I wouldn't do that. You need to get in there and get playing that to figure it out because it is way different than when you were playing it in September.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It is more realistic than you can even get your head around now. Big time.
I do have some ideas if I go back and run that. Well, when I go back and run that, whoever builds my car or shows me how to build the car, some stuff I want to do with gearing. Okay. We'll talk about it after the show. Nobody cares.
6-speed. Oh, I have a couple words of advice. 1, lift. 2, drive backwards.
Neither one of those are a lot of fun. I don't know if you've
I'm aware. I know it's not a lot of fun to you, but it is what it is. But there's also going to be a 70s wire class. So it's 70 cars only.
Like the Frank the Tank Wire class.
Kind of. Yep. There's going to be a couple wagons in there at max, and the rest is all going to be Oldsmobiles and Shockers.
Has there been? I don't know. I'll ask after. I was going to ask if people have thought about putting Mopar wagons in, or if that isn't going to happen. Or
well, a lot of it comes down to what Jesse wants to do.
Gotcha.
And what Jesse has available. Jesse Myers is the guy that created the Realistic Derby project. You've heard us talk about him a ton of times before. The event's going to be streamed on Prodigy this time around. Prodigy Gaming, Lee Sager. So that'll be some pretty crazy eye count.
I thought we were running together once, and then he hit me like 4 times full track. I think we were running together after that.
Is this a real derby?
No, I've never ran against any of the Sagers. It was, I think it was a Crash Course Nationals first time.
Yeah,
I think so. It might have been the first heat I ever ran, to be honest with you. Like in the actual Nationals. I mean, we practiced before, but I might have been in the heat. I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
James McLean just waited. He goes, a third rule, don't drive a 6-speed that I tuned.
Takes talent to run a 6-speed.
Could be.
I just run the automatic because I'm not smart enough to shift on the handles yet.
Yeah.
Every man's got knows
If you gear the 6-speed right, you don't have to clutch it.
Every man's got knows limitations.
That's a rumor. I've never been able to be that lucky. Yeah. But so that's sitting out there, and then the raffle spots for that team heat that we did at the last one. This time it's going to be the Legends Lottery. We're going to get names pulled from all the different servers that host events, and do it that way, and try and pair a couple par excellence against some new guys, some up and comers, and run a format like that.
Kind of like a Joe's versus the pros.
Yeah, kind of like that, but it'll be a little bit more of a vote, a little bit more fan input. I mean, just to make it into the top 12, that'll then get the spots raffled off to keep it truly chance, because I don't want anybody saying that it was rigged or whatever.
Are you going to be able to run in it? You're pretty good in the.
I want no part of running in it. I don't want to run in it because I've been other places where the people that are putting on the show try to run in it, and it just gets to be too much. You can be okay at a lot of things, but you can only be very good at one at a time.
I don't know. I've seen you be very good at more than one at a time. Just saying, friend to friend.
Friend to friend, huh?
Friend to friend.
Well, we've covered a lot. That was the unofficial rollout. We'll get more of that information out here officially, and some information we posted online too. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a long couple days, but it'll be fun. One of the raffle cars is going to go with a TV again.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. Yep. The last time I kept the raffle car as a bit of a secret, and now I think we need to let people know they're going to be out there, so if they don't get in, they'll at least be looking for it. Yeah. It should be fun. I got chastised online the other day. It's like, do you know who has this Crash Course page? They never post. And it's like, yeah, it's mine. There's only a couple things a year. It's it's like the fairgrounds. You only need it in October.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Is there any talks about trucks or anything like that? That's for the next.
The trucks were out. The trucks actually came out for a while there, and they were too sticky. They were too finicky. I think there was actually too many layers of stuff involved in them, and they just weren't what they needed to be. So those have kind of been put on the back burner. Jonathan Dorr, who does the Mini Mania mod, which has all the compacts, the Pessima and the Legrand, which they look basically like a 88 Buick Century and a 95 Lumina. In my eyes, I could be completely wrong in terms of what the frames are like. He's added a rear-wheel drive compact, and he's got trucks and SUVs as well.
Cool.
So if you're looking to scratch that itch, it'll be like when you drove the Ranger. It's not going to be like when we saw trucks in Utah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking more Blizzard Bash, but yeah, that Ranger was something.
That Ranger was, I am glad that happened one time and never again.
I was surprised I'd come out that window that fast, but I'm not a big fan of fire.
That, to my recollection, that's the only time you ever really even caught in a fire. That was anything that was of consequence.
2 other times. Once I was in a 2-door LTD at Waterloo. It was white, and I exited that car the same way. And then once at Canandaigua, I assume it was a actually it was a Ford station wagon, and I think the rear rim had been grinding on something, and it's back when I didn't strip cars, and I think it caught something in the back on fire, and they walked out and squirted it. That was the end of it.
So what did we learn from this?
Fords are bad.
There you go. Yeah,
I've known that for a long time, man. I've never had a whole lot of luck with Fords.
The Chrysler gods are telling you where you need to be.
I know. When I ran the Vic at working on the Vic for Waterloo, that's when I got the 12 staples in my head.
The green one?
Broke my neck, yeah, or broke my knuckle, yeah. You don't remember that?
I remember that. Well, there was a roof camera on the green one.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one caught on fire.
No. The trunk lid came down and hit me in the head. Gave me 12 staples, and it broke one of my knuckles because I tried to catch it. I caught my knuckle in my head. Yeah.
That bled a lot.
It did. And I was shocked because, I knew it happened, and I'm like, this isn't good. So I'm sorry for the visual, but I took my shirt off and put it on my head and held it there and sat there and, made sure I had my everything and took it off, and there was a lot of blood, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So I shut everything down, and before I got in the truck, I looked, and I had blood all down the side of my head, and I'm like, I can't go home looking quite like this to the wife and kids. So I went up to my parents' house and used the garden hose to wash off, because that's what you do.
Oh, no.
And garden hosed everything off and cleaned it up, and I walked in and sat down. I said, Crystal, come here, you got to look at something. What'd you do now? And sat down and went like this, and she's like, come on, we got to go to the ER. So we got to the emergency room, and there was a nurse in there. And I'd seen her, for myself and my kids and through work and this and that. So we knew each other pretty well. And she was walking by the door, and she's like, what'd you do now? And I bent over, and she goes, ooh. And I said, what do you think? A little super glue and we're done? She goes, oh, no, you're getting staples. And I was like, oh. It wasn't a good night. But
I got staples in my head once.
Yeah.
And the doctor didn't tell me. He just came in with this thing kind of behind his back.
Did he numb you first?
No, he didn't. He came in with this thing kind of behind his back. He goes, I just got to look at this real quick. And he parted my hair and it went like that. What was that? He goes, if we went through the process of trying to numbing it, it would have taken longer than if I just did this.
Yeah.
You're going to want to take this Advil. It'll get rid of your headache. I'm like, a headache?
Yeah, the numbing it was worse than the injury. They came in there, and I swear that needle was 8 foot long. And I'm pretty sure it must have hit the rocks inside my head. That must have been what was causing the pain. Oh, and this nice, and there was the same lady I knew. She was a nice older lady, but kind of small and petite. And she comes in and she takes my hand. And she says, "Okay, honey, if it hurts, you go ahead and squeeze my hand." And she's got my right hand. And I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So I reach down on the side of the bed and grab onto something metal. And as they're doing it, I'm pulling on this arm with everything I have and gritting my teeth. And she's going, "Just squeeze my hand, honey. You're doing so good." And oh, my goodness, because I was just scared, squeezing her hand. It would have been a bad thing. But, yeah, that was – and then the staples didn't hurt once my head went numb. But, man, those shots to numb it were not a fun experience.
There's only a couple, so I kind of got away with one. They tried to numb my hand when I fell at Black Rock and laid my palm open.
I don't remember that.
That was during a race, actually. There was it was quite the story. My future in-laws made their first trip to Outlaw Speedway, Black Rock Speedway, and they're watching as a four-cylinder race ended in dispute.
Good analogy.
Whereupon the gentleman pulled back into the pits, and wouldn't luck have it that the gentleman in the pits was a lefty. The way that we could tell was because when he swung the baseball bat / jack out of the 2-ton race jack into the window of the four-cylinder and struck the C-post and bent it in, he was standing left-handed, because racers wonder about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I took off, and the race, that was the last of the night. And I said, I got to go help kind of clean up this mess. And
Quell.
give, at least, I got to have eyes on this for the affidavit.
I'm going to have to sign some paperwork later.
And as I headed across the track, the inside of the track was still really gummy, and it sucked at my shoe, and I slipped, and I went out Superman style across the infield of the track, and there was a piece of sheet metal that was buried in the track surface, and it went right across the palm of my hand. It was so sharp I didn't even know it. And I got over to where the festivities were, and by now it was a show because everybody was watching. And I put my hand on the side of the safety truck to sort of look at what was going on, and my hand slipped off. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I didn't think it was that dewy out. And I was like, there was the track lights shining down on the quarter panel over here, and I could see the dew. And I remember, like, it all happened in slow motion. Then my eyes tracked back to where my hand was, and it looked as it was like straight out of 28 Days Later. All this blood, and it's running down on the dew, and I'm like, wow. That truck's really bleeding bad.
And you're not a big fan of your own blood.
No, I'm not any blood. Period. Any blood. So I did the wisest thing I could think of. I didn't look at it, and I took my official shirt off and wrapped my hand
around it.
And it was safe to assume, I don't know how many people were going to get arrested in that exchange, but it was clear how many people the police were prepared to. So I figured, leave it to the professionals.
They'll take care of it.
And one of my friends, Stephen Evans. Stephen was working in an EM. Was it Brad? Might have been Brad. Either way, one of them was in the EMT truck that night. And I saw them, and I said, I got a bit of a problem, and I started to unwrap it. And the shirt, he goes, let's go back to the truck. So he opened it up, and he put a cotton ball on it and taped it, and he said, you should go to the emergency room. And they ended up numbing it to wash it because all the dirt, apparently the janitor was off that night. And they took his brush, and they did one of these numbers, but they took a needle, laid it in there to numb the whole thing. That was the worst.
Yeah.
I stared at that dude's bow tie and swore at him as many times.
Yeah, I've had those moments. We cut my knuckle working on a derby car, and same thing, laid it open, saw the bone. I'm like, ooh. So go to the doctors. My wife takes me, and they're like, okay, we're gonna numb it, which I'd been through before. Oh my God, it wasn't good. So he's like, well, he goes, call and see if there's a hand surgeon on. We have to check his joint space.
Yep.
And so it felt like he put a snap ring pliers between this finger and like the hand bone down here and separated it. And I was like, whoa, what the? All right, your joint space is good, no surgery. And I'm like, I have no idea why you did that, but I told him it's a good thing that you're working on my right hand. He goes, oh, you're a righty, huh? And I'm like, yes, I'm a righty. Well, I just wanted to make sure. And I'm like, just stitch and get me out of here. That was a bad night.
We're not here to talk about it.
Yeah, just stitch and get me home. That was a bad night.
Jeremy shared a picture of that truck here recently. And I know that at least one of the people that I saw before they finally sewed it up for good on my shin, one of them numbed it. And I'm glad that they did, because everything had swollen up and was so taut that they had to grab both sides and push it back together in order to stitch it. And truthfully, all I felt was a little bit of pressure. I didn't know that the stitches were happening or anything at that point.
Yeah. I had another derby injury. They're like, well, I think it was my thumb. Different part. Yeah, it was my thumb. We can give you a local, which it'll be numb for a while, or we can give you a block, which is good for 6 hours. I said, I'll take the block. They said, it will be numb for 6 hours. I said, okay. And when I tell you it wore off at midnight and I woke up immediately, it wore off at midnight and I was awake immediately going, I could feel every heartbeat in that thumb. Oh, it was terrible. But
is that, they put that in your back or did they put it in your arm?
I don't remember where it wasn't my back. It had to be somewhere down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a block and it was numb for 6 hours.
I can't believe we still have people watching. We're we're just rambling at this point.
We are.
And we do have to get out of here and get everything turned back over. We stayed here a lot longer than we were supposed to. A lot longer by like 10 minutes, but longer than we were supposed to. But
let the boss have his time.
Yep. When Jim says he has a show, that's code for get out.
Get out. Yeah, we're good about that.
We tried to be. Remember the one time we were over at the other building, and he was pacing around and pacing around and pacing around, and he was pissed.
Yeah, I think he walked through the back of it like 4 times.
Yeah,
like because his like kind of office was off this way, and like the door was over here, and you like walked in and walked back. And, yeah, it was kind of funny. I didn't remember what it was about, but it was a good show.
He was pacing. He was pacing by the elevator too. Mm-hmm. He was pacing out there for a while. Yeah, that was. We don't want to replicate that. We should get out of here.
Yep, we're good. See you next week.
We'll see everybody again next week. We got all sorts of stuff planned up.
Crash Course 600.
Yeah. And if you get a minute or two to say hi to our buddy Ed down in Virginia, or say hi to Tyler and the Heenan family up there, take a minute to do so. I know they would like to hear from you. That's going to do it for us on this one. We'll do it again next Monday. Hopefully we get some. Back on Monday, by the way. Monday.
Yeah, we got to talk about that afterwards.
All right, we'll get it figured out.
All right.
That's going to do it for us here on this edition of the Crash Course. We'll see you next time.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah, online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.